All right. Greetings, everybody. I'm Larry Williams, the Director for the Consortium for the Advancement of Research Methods and Analysis, or CARMA. You may know we've now relocated to Lincoln, Nebraska at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And I'm now a faculty member in the College of Business Administration, and CARMA relocated over the summer for that. And I'm here with just a quick chat with my longtime friend and numerous Karma Times contributor, Dr. Herman Aguinis. Herman is now the Avram Tucker Distinguished Scholar and Professor of Management at the George Washington University School of Business. And Herman, it's good to see you again, and we're very excited about your upcoming webcast. And as you should know, this webcast, we've decided that the first webcast lecture each year will be in honor of our dear friend Larry James. And Herman, I'm so thankful because in the fall of 2004, when I had this crazy idea of doing webcasts, you and Larry and Jeff were kind enough to come to Richmond, Virginia and do the first one. So do you have any particular memories of that event?
Oh, thank you, Larry. I'm delighted to be associated with Karma for such a long time and being part of this dream that is reaching global proportions. And what you're doing for the global education of research methods is fabulous. So thank you very much. And being here, I feel like I am in Back to the Future 4 or Back to the Future 5, because here we are, I guess 12 years after the first one in 2004, when I was sitting in a room, and all I could see is a little light, a little red light blinking, and then they said, go. And I was supposed to start with my lecture knowing that there would be hundreds of people from universities all over the world watching this. The problem was that I didn't know whether we were broadcasting or not. I just saw that blinking light until Larry came into the room quietly and gave me the 2 thumbs up. Larry Williams said, yes, Herman, we're broadcasting. Things are working. And it was such a fabulous thing. And
it was a nervous time for both of us, I can tell you.
Because
I wasn't sure the technology was going to work either.
Yeah, it was just so fantastic. And it was a magical moment. And also because there were 3 lectures that first time, myself, Larry James, and Jeff Edwards. And Larry James delivered a lecture, and I'm just so honored that the webcast that we'll deliver in just a few weeks is named after Larry James, because, to borrow a word from Yiddish, he was a true mensch. The word mensch means a good man, a decent man, a scholar, a gentleman, somebody who cared. He really cared about research. He cared about making a difference. He cared about his students. He cared about his colleagues. He just cared about things. And we need more people who truly care about what we're doing in our field. And let me just tell you a quick story. In the year 2010, my colleagues Chuck Pierce and Steve Culpepper and myself published an article in the Journal of Applied Psychology on differential prediction, which is whether tests predict performance differently for men versus women or blacks versus whites. This is a topic of extreme importance for theory, because if there are differences, we need to know why, and for practice, because if tests do not work in the same way for different groups, then there are ethical and legal issues and questions about whether it would be okay to use the tests or not. It was a very long paper. In fact, when we submitted the final version, it was exactly 102 pages long. Why? Because it was a very controversial topic. We were saying that the conclusions we held until that point had to be revisited. So it was a very long, complex paper. And I go to the Academy of Management meetings, and I see Larry James. And Larry says, Herman, I read your paper in Journal of Applied Psychology. Congratulations, it was so well done. And I was so pleased and honored that Larry cared enough to have read our paper. And he didn't stop there. He said, by the way, the derivations in Appendix A are fabulous. I go, what? he read Appendix A. He reached like page 90 in the paper and got to Appendix A. So just an example of how he really cared about things. And then we had a really long conversation about some of the detailed work that we had presented in the appendix. He was a true mensch, and he really cared. So I'm really honored to be delivering this lecture named after Larry James.
Yeah. Well, he's a good man, and we miss him regularly. Still, every time I go to the professional societies like the Academy or PSYOP, I look around and kind of imagine he's there. And, you know, I've talked a couple of times with some of my friends about some of his mannerisms. You know, and of course, we have some of our friends that can do a great job impersonating him. No need to go into any names. But he'd always have this way of cocking his head and looking in this quizzical way. And so he was a good man, and he was a longtime contributor to Karma as well. I appreciate your kind words about Karma earlier, but, you know, I really believe we would not have been able to do what we have done without so many of the top people contributing as much as they did early on. And certainly you are in that group, and Larry and Jeff Edwards and Bob Vandenberg and Jose Cortina, and so it's been a lot of fun. And but we're very excited to have you coming back, and I think it'll be your third webcast if my memory serves me correct. And of course, many short courses over the year, many appearances as the drummer in the Karma band. So we're excited to have you. That'll be September 30th. It'll be our kickoff webcast lecture of the year. So why don't you give our audience a preview of what you're going to be talking about?
Okay, well, thank you, Larry. And I am going to be talking about something that we believe is fundamental for the advancement of theories and also for practice. And as many of you watching this video may know, my students and colleagues and I are working on a lot of methods issues that are not targeting methodologists, but they target substantive researchers that need new tools, better tools, easier to use tools to answer questions that are important in their substantive research domains. And in this particular webcast, I'm going to rely on work that is in press at Organizational Research Methods, co-authored by myself, Jeff Edwards, and Kyle Bradley, but also other work we have done on moderation and mediation. And this substantive issue is, why does X affect Y? In other words, a critical question in any theory is the reasons underlying a particular relationship that we observe. What are the underlying mechanisms or transmitting mechanisms that lead one variable to affect another one? And what happens in between these two, which we often refer to as a black box, is mediation, what we call a mediating effect or mediator variable. So the first section of the webcast will address the why of effects, why X relates to Y. And I am going to be using a lot of examples from the substantive literature, and in particular, I will describe specific effects and specific relationships published in top strategic management journals, in the Strategic Management Journal and in Organization Science. In that paper in press at Organizational Research Methods, we conducted a review and learned how strategy scholars are using mediation. So we extracted those practices and critically examined them to provide suggestions on how to improve how mediation effects are tested and assessed. And the second part of the webcast will be about moderation. Moderation is a second very critical issue for theories, because moderation is about when an effect happens, when X relates to Y. In other words, contingent relationships or situations or conditions under which the effect of X on Y may be weaker, may be stronger, may switch from negative to positive, may switch from insistent to non-insistent. So moderation is about why about when and conditions under which a particular effect exists. And similar to the issue of mediation, we will rely on a lot of actual examples from published papers showing how people are assessing moderation and what we can do to improve moderation. These issues about improving moderation and mediation is not just a methodological nuance. We're going to talk about, I will relay some of the information we are producing in journals. I say we because this is a collective effort. But the point here is that if these practices continue, we will put wrong words in the results and the discussion section. This is not just a little detail or nuance. We're talking about making incorrect conclusions, reaching incorrect dead ends in theories because some of these tests are not done right. Now, we're not going to name names because there's no point in doing that, but we will certainly name specific examples so the methodological issues come to life in a very vivid and way, and in a way that you will be able to relate to those examples.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Herman, I'm a big fan of these types of papers. You and I are a part of a group of fairly increasingly in size, large group of methodologists who are ever more concerned about having an impact on improving best practices and making our work accessible to substantive researchers. And so I'm very eager to hear your talk, and will appreciate you coming the great distance from D.C. all the way to Lincoln, Nebraska. You've been kind to visit us in several locations, and it'll be great to welcome you to Lincoln. So again, folks, that's September 30th. The webcast is at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. The topic is mediation and moderation and strategic management research, and it's going to be great fun to hang with my good friend Herman Aguinis. Herman, thanks so much for chatting, dude. Have a great day.
Thank you, Larry. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.